welcome back to Chop's Garage. Now you all knew it was going to happen. Mr. Mocker has been back and I have another bill. So those of you that aren't up to date with what's been happening on Chop's Garage, I am a used car dealer, small used car dealer, normally cheap cars, there's a few of them out there. Specialise really in about stuff £5 grand, and we have, those people who watch my channel regularly, we have a customer called Mr. Mocker Man, we know. Because I sold a 2014 Mocker with, I think it was 107,000 miles on it. We put a picture up there if I've still got a picture of it. And we sold it to a gentleman. And a lot of the people that watch the channel said from the very beginning I should cancel the sale off and I shouldn't do it at all. One, because the car's a bit old, 2014, 107,000 miles. Experience tells us that normally if you retail a car like that, you have to be very lucky if you don't end up spending a fortune prepping it, which it did cost me a fortune prepping it. I think I ended up spending about £1,000 doing it. I think we had all new tyres all round, some discs and pads, some other bits and bobs. So it ended up costing too much to get prepped because it's, again, really should be left to private sales, a car of that age. Then the next thing was when I put it up for sale, this gentleman wanted it, and the reason he wanted it is he just handed back a brand new car and decided he didn't want a brand new car. So that set some alarm bells ringing off for people. And then when he did come to buy the car, he wanted to negotiate hard on the price. Had quite large expectations on how much I should discount by. And when it came down to it, one of the reasons he wanted to discount it was because he wanted me to subsidise how much it was going to cost him to tax the car and insure the car. One of his reasons for trying to get a lower price point wasn't because my car was overpriced. It wasn't. It was bang on what all traders said it should be. And it wasn't because the car had any defects, because we spent a load of money prepping it. It was a full service history car. His reason for wanting a discount was so that he would be able to reduce his costs on his insurance and his tax, and he'd be able to eat into some of that by using margin from the car, or by just reducing the price of the car. So again, that's another reason people said to me, James, you shouldn't be selling this guy a car. And for reasons unknown to myself, I did actually agree to discount the car as well, which is something I don't do because, again, on a car that age, invariably, when someone starts to use it daily, day in, day out, it's going to have some more costs need to be done. There's going to be things that we haven't picked up on that are near end of life on the vehicle. We will warranty a vehicle that old still for 3 months, 3,000 miles, and that's quite a long time of driving a car of that age, potential for something else to fail. So now I've spent a fortune prepping it. I've sold it to a guy who's already returned one car with somebody else. I've sold it to a guy who's tried to hit me hard on the price, and I have then ended up discounting it. So not great. So as many people predicted, he came back shortly afterwards. He messaged me, well, he didn't come back. He messaged me and said that the speed limiter on the steering wheel wasn't working. So he wanted to go down to my garage and get it checked out what that was all about. Well, it turned out that that was in fact just user error, and it was working. But while he was down there, he started to question the service history of the vehicle and said he wasn't able to find any evidence of it having had a service within the last year. Now, I was quite adamant it had a service and wasn't due one for another 6 months from going through the paperwork. But when I asked him to go through the paperwork, he said he couldn't find anything in there. Obviously, he's got the paperwork now, so I wasn't able to check it. So for the sake of just an easier life, again, I know I shouldn't have done it, I agreed to do the oil and the filters. I agreed to do that service for him. I just said, guys, just get on, do an oil and filter, and just bill me for it. So the guys do that. Well, they book him in to do that. He turns up, and when he turns up to drop the car off for the oil and filter, he now starts to ask questions about the cam belt on the car. Now, at that price point, a cam belt, when you're talking about a car that was, what was it, £4,000, something like that, I think, to put a cam belt on the car, which costs about £500, it's not feasible. If we're going to do a cam belt, it's normally at point of sale, we do a negotiation on it. I can't remember. I had it in my head again within the paperwork there was evidence of a cam belt done, but obviously he's now got the paperwork, he's off with that. He's saying he can't find anything in the paperwork, and he's now asking my guys about doing a cam belt. So he's dropped it off to have a oil and filter, now he's looking to have a cam belt done as well. So the guys pick up the phone, quite rightly, ring me and say, James is now asking about having a cam belt done. So I pick up the phone straight away, ring the customer, say to him, we didn't negotiate cam belt at point of sale, I didn't agree to oil and filter. If you want a cam belt doing, which is, it's a maintenance thing for that vehicle, probably well worth doing. I thought it was in the paperwork, but if you're saying it isn't, then it's well worth doing for safety. I said, the best I can do for you is get the cam belt in at trade and get the labour done for you at trade, so it's going to be massively reduced. I think it worked out being about half price. I agreed to have it done. So the car got dropped off, and just the oil and filter were done because he wanted to decide, I think, whether he was going to do this or not, and maybe rebook in. So the car went back to him, just having the oil and filter done, and I was billed for that. So fast forward about 2.5 weeks, sat at my desk at the back there, and phone starts ringing. 5:30 on a Friday, isn't it? Yeah. Phone starts ringing. Chap says, I'm parked up, and the car won't start. I think the cam belt's gone on the car. It won't start. It's doing absolutely nothing on the key. I said to him, if it's doing absolutely nothing on the key, it's not going to be the cam belt. Cam belt is normally, there's a lot of drama around the cam belt. Normally the engine has to be running, and well, I mean, it can skip on start, but you normally get some kind of a start and then it skips, or you're already driving and it brakes. It's a bit more dramatic than just turning the key and getting nothing. If you're getting nothing, pretty darn sure it's going to be something electrical. Starter motor's stuck, or your alternator's gone, you've got a flat battery, or you just got a bad battery. I said, I don't think it's going to be anything serious. It's a 1.7 diesel, there's not an awful lot to go wrong with them. I said, but at the end of the day, I can't really do much for you. I said, because as I tell you at point of sale, and I tell everyone at point of sale, I don't operate a recovery service. You need to make sure you've got one. So if you've not got RAC cover or someone for them to come out to you, because it might be something as simple as a dead battery. He said, I have done, so I'll call them out. I said, yeah. He said, what do you want me to do with the car after I've called them out? I said, well, they need to find out what's wrong with it first. I said, but if it's something serious, then get them to drop it to my guys down the road at Moores, and they'll have to have a look at it. I said, but they won't be able to look at it till Monday because they don't open over the weekends. So he said, okay, no problem. I'll call up the RAC. Now, obviously, it's now getting off nearly 6 o'clock. I need to get home. So I head off home. I come back in Monday morning to about 4 answer phone messages on my phone, bless him. It was the RAC man's here, and then it was another call. The RAC man's found that it's got no charge in the battery, thinks the alternator might be bad. Then it was number 3, the RAC's dropped the car off to Moores, and then it was another one saying, I've now left the car at Moores, I'll speak to you on Monday. And on Monday morning, as soon as I came in, the phone rang, and he said, oh, I've left the car down at Moores and they think that the alternator's gone on it. I said, well, no problem at all. We'll get the alternator fitted. He said, oh, I thought the cam belt had gone. He said, so I'm going to get them to do the cam belt at the same time. I said, yeah, no problem at all. As long as you understand that you're making the payment for the cam belt, I will make the payment for the alternator, because it's happened within the sort of first 30 days. So it can be assumed that it was on its way out at point of sale. So I've got a bill here for another 200 odd quid for the alternator, and then half an hour fitting, whatever it was. So the discount I gave him was about £200. Now you can see straight away why you don't want to discount cars at this price point, because by discounting £200, I've now spent £200 out on the alternator on top, as well as that oil and filter change. That's money I'd have had in the pot to do that work. So the work, I speak to the Moores guys and say, look, do the cam belt, do the alternator, but don't release the car to him until I've told you that he's made a payment to me for the cam belt element of it. So a day or two later, I get a phone call saying, the Moores guys, it's ready. We've rung him and let him know it's ready, and he's due to come and pick it up. I said, okay, well, he hasn't paid me yet, so I need to ring him and get him to pay me. So I ring him and he said, oh, it's all ready, I'll go down and get it. I said, yeah, but you need to pay me for the cam belt. He said, when you go down there, make sure you take them either the cash for it or pop in and see me in advance. He said, oh, well, I'm not running away anyway. I said, unfortunately, it's not the way business works. I can't release a car to you until you've made the payment for the work that you opted to have done. If you remember at the beginning of the sale, he hadn't actually had his full payment back for the car he'd handed back, the new car, and he wanted to leave me £1,000, take the car away and pay me the rest when they paid him. And I said to him at that point, unfortunately, as nice as it would be to live in a world where business was done like that, it doesn't get done like that. Okay, no problem at all. I will pay Moores when I go down and pick up the cash. He said, but I hope I don't have any more problems with the car. I do like it. It's a nice little car. He said, but I hope I don't have any more problems with it. And I said to all people, I said, at the end of the day, it's a used car. So it's 10 years old. It's 106,000 miles. You started using it daily now. We spent a fortune prepping it, but things can still go wrong with it. It's a used car. Components on the vehicle are nearing end of life. They might need replacement. I said, I think it's probably unlikely. I think we've probably ironed out the bugs now. I said, but it's not a bad car because something like that goes wrong with it. I said, alternators can go on a 5 or 6 year old car. I said, it's not a bad car because that's happened. It's still a good vehicle. And I think he understood that. So he went on his way. He paid Moores. He picked up the car. And as of so far, a week has gone by and I've not heard any more. So Some of you said I'd live with him, and it looks like I may do. At the end of the day, of course, he's able to claim for an alternator, and it's not that he's been out of order for asking it. The alternator has failed on the vehicle, needs to be replaced, and I've done that for anyone. Obviously, I just thought it was a bit funny because a lot of you said that I would live with him and end up doing lots for him. And I think more than anything, it just demonstrates why, realistically, the older the car is, the more used the car is, the less inclined you should be to negotiate on the price point when you come to see a dealer. Because if you want it to be, like I've said before, if you want a dealer to be like me, someone turns around and goes, "Don't worry, I'll get that done for you." You can't nail them to the ground, take a load of their margin out of the car, and then bemoan the fact that they start to get a bit picky when things need fixing. Because you could say on a car that age and that mileage that something like an alternator is fair wear and tear. Again, if it's happened in the first 30 days, you really have to fix it. But if it happened after 2 or 3 months, you could say that's fair wear and tear for a vehicle that age. But if you want them to be the kind of dealer that says, "Don't worry, I'll get it sorted for you," pay the price point they want for the car. Because I said to somebody the other day that was trying to negotiate £300 off a 2995 car, I said dealers don't have that kind of margin in used cars. The margin is 10 to 15%. So on a car that's up for £3,000, the dealer might be, if they're lucky, after all their costs, be making £500 profit out of it. We're now talking a period where labour is £70 an hour labour, and like I said, an alternator is £150, £200. So you need to leave that level of margin in, because any amount of work on that vehicle is likely to wipe out at least half their profit. And again, as I've said before, they might have spent a lot of money prepping it and got the car to a standard where it is a good, safe car with a new MOT. But when you start using it day in, day out, even with the best prep in the world, things can still fail and go wrong. So it's not going to be they're only putting the money into it, they should have put money in the first place, because they probably spent a lot of money prepping it anyway. It also highlights the need for so many of us dealers now to move on to newer cars. When I first started this out, a 2010, a 2012 car didn't seem that old, but we've now moved on 3 or 4 years. These cars are now properly old, and they're probably just not, like I said, a realistic dealer retail car, unless you're going to be ultra tough on your warranty claims. And that's why really, unless something's got mega low miles and a full service history, I've moved everything on to sort of like 2015 plus. A lot of what I've got is now 2018, 2017, which again seems really new to me, but actually all of that stuff's getting on a little bit now as well, isn't it? Anyway, so get your comments down below. Place your bets on how soon you think I'll before I see Mr. Mockerman again. But yeah, I thought I'd update you on that one because I know a lot of you said from day dot it's not a deal I should have done. Here's the bill, by the way. New timing belt and tensioners. I just got charged £86 labour for that, and I think I bought the kit for about the same sort of price, about 80 quid. That's all the customer paid me. I didn't charge him anything on top. So he got a cam belt done for like 160, 170 quid, something like that. Well, there was a bit of VAT on top, so I think it was like 180 quid. Renew the alternator, then he charged me £40 to put the alternator in, and the alternator itself, they've gone and got a brand new one, £165. I mean, obviously, the betterment law does mean that actually you would be allowed to put a used alternator on if you wanted to, but I don't think a used alternator is something I'd do on a retail car. But you are within your rights to say the vehicle went out with a used alternator on. If you want to have a brand new one, you need to contribute something towards it. That is actually allowed within car sales.